Hi everyone, Parul here, your usual host, and today I have got Meher Parul Nagar again, joining us from India. So last week we talked about generational trauma, part one, and today we're going to be going into part two, and I'm going to welcome Meher on board. Thank you, Meher, for coming along again, giving us your time to share your golden nuggets with our audience.
Thank you so much, Carol, for everything. And thank you, everybody who heard our first video. And I would love and appreciate to listen to your comments or anything you have to share with us, whether it's on comment section or personally. And the idea, as said, it's there. As you said, that it's for them to reach out for help and seek help and not just brush it off under the carpet, which is one of the major signs of generational trauma.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, bit about Meher, as I mentioned before, Meher is a CPTSD and multi-abuse survivor and expert. So, everything Meher talks about here is from her own experience, being on the situation to now she's surviving, thriving. She wants to help others. And Meher dedicate her work to a group of people, both men and women, to help them to overcome challenges they may had in the far past or going through now. So, as I mentioned, we went through generational trauma. And Meher, can you just for our audience just describe what generational trauma mean?
Yeah, I'll quickly speak about it. This is very, very, very common. I'm not even exaggerating about it. So I before coming in for today's session, I thought uh, I'm gonna speak about it because it's a major sign. If we often judge and label others, which we generally do, and everybody will be like, oh, it is so common, so big, so it's not big about it. And it's there in every culture, like every culture, every place, every part of the world. Uh, See, if you are sharing your experience, it's different. But if you're judging and labeling someone in a certain way, that's not experience. That's actually judging and labeling someone. So judging and labeling is one of the major signs. People tend to say it's okay, chill, chill, take a chill pill, don't take too much stress, you think too much, you're overthinking. Honestly, this is how generational trauma looks like. This is also a very, very common sign which we often just not just brush it off, to be honest, Parul. Uh, it's also something we also do it consciously and subconsciously, and we don't know how to regulate our emotions well to not do it.
Yeah, so basically, generational trauma, what you're summarizing is passing on from our forefathers to now. We've continued same habit, same attitude of judging others, telling other people off, doing things. And I've seen in my life so many people doing that. I see more on women doing to women than men sometimes. So it's not, yeah, so it's something like very common. Or because they've been through it, then they're passing it to somebody else. Thank you for summarizing. Now, Meher, today I want you to go a bit more deeper. Share some case study. Last week you shared a very fascinating, very depressing, upsetting case study, but is so true. The example is shared with them how people treat others and how traumatic it might be for the person who's going through it, and whether this person then carry on doing to somebody else when they're free. It was just like a big eye opener for me. How in these days of time people do modern slavery, but not just modern slavery, but kind of like people, watching somebody without clothes to do their work. because that is like, how many abuse can you count on here? It's just awful of these people suffering. But it's not just happening in third world countries, it's happening everywhere, every countries. Yeah. So can you share some case studies, Meher, of obviously protecting yourself and protecting your client? How, give us some example of how generational trauma impacted some people.
Sure. I mean, because I work globally, most of my examples won't relate or won't remain to specifically to India or whatsoever, because I don't work with Indian clients more. To be honest, one of the main reasons is every country and ethnicity has something. Okay. And I'm going to speak about few things which is common, as you rightly said, across the globe in their own way, ethnicity and everything. And as I said, this content is for anyone and everyone listening, correct? So I would want to highlight few major things, to be honest, today. Even if it takes a while, I really do want to do this because we really brush this off, and I'm saying it out loud for a reason. One of the things we have made we have made women as slaves. Women have been considered as slaves for years. E- Even though, even now, you might say that we live in, developed countries like UK, US, Canada, it doesn't happen. All that is bullshit. It used to happen before and all of that. But to be honest, it's there. And there are different forms of slavery. It's not obvious slavery. There'll be like different mindset of seeing women or children as slaves, objectifying them. Also spiritual abuse, like if you see, spiritual abuse has increased like so much. I know. I It's not just about Islamophobia, okay? I've heard about Islamophobia before as well, and it's been there for years, and people assuming that all the Muslims are terrorists and all of that. But now people are also considering Israel as terrorist, or people are also considering other country people are as terrorists with whatever is happening across the world. Okay, I'm not gonna glorify nothing, and I don't care if this hurts anyone. We are not doing this for them at all. So we need to speak about these problems because these are not political problems alone. These are generational traumas. These are unhealed generational traumas and patterns wherein we normalize, oh, you need to go by the society, you need to do this, you need to do that. It is fair enough to do anything and everything to gain what I want to gain. Okay. I want to speak about one of these examples of friend of mine, college friend of mine or whatever, living in one of these countries, now part of that country. It doesn't matter whether you have been raised in India and living in another country, or you have been raised in which country and living in whatever country. The point is that people don't realize that you cannot you can never ever grow until you heal these generational traumas, because
Absolutely,
a
absolutely.
part of generational trauma also comes from only if you have a lot of money, only if you come, if you show people, oh, I live in such a huge country, I have a good house, I have this, I have that, my life is cool. No, you know. So, and when you see all these people, they look amazing, they look well settled, they look happy, they look amazing, but they are really going through fucked up shit. They can't handle their sexual desires. They don't know how to handle all of that. They don't know how to balance spiritual intolerance or tolerance with with all of this. They have this habit to not just judge and label, but they have this habit to say, put people into a bucket based on experience, and then
Mhm.
they say, no, no, we are not judging and labeling, we are just sharing our experience. Excuse me, a person who shares experience has a way to share an experience. It's actually a judgment and labeling part wherein you literally put somebody inside a bucket and then force them to be something they don't want to be, and rule them, overpower them, make them slaves if you have money, no money, or whatever mindset you must be coming in from. Because this kind of mindset doesn't come from just money, just because you have money. It also comes from a mindset, generational mindset of assuming somebody as slaves. That only if you have this thing, then only you belong to my status. Only then you belong to this. Only then, this whole status issue and power issue we have. Okay, and this particular guy has that, like literally he has that, because he's doing well and a lot of people are doing well. But it's this, the reason I brought one of these examples and a lot more, many examples wherein I have seen, and I always see, not just me but a lot of clients suffering and struggling with, is they really, really don't know how to handle their sexual part because they're struggling with sexual health issues. They really don't understand that why they suddenly get triggered and it suddenly happens. They might come up as, I am not a racist. I don't see people as racism. But if they are being said to speak about anything about Palestine or Israel or things going in India or Bangladesh or Syria or any country, any of the places where all of this is happening, or you see India Pakistan war, which happened recently. If you're going to bring these people up there, they're not going to speak about it. They will not say nothing about it, and it hurts. It really hurts. And I have heard so many real stories from my clients saying that I went to so and so coach, I went to so and so therapist, I went to so and so person who calls them, I know this and I help people, and all they do with them is make them feel more ter- you know terrible about themselves, make them feel that they are not worth it, make them feel what they're speaking is not worth it. And that is also one of the generational pattern. And obviously it's a generational pattern wherein we might assume, I am good, I'm good to go, I can help the world, I'm here to save the world. I always tell people, I'm not here to save the world, I'm not here to make any revolutionary changes here. I'm only here to help those who are in need. I'm only here to for those who aren't getting the help they need, because I was there, because I needed that help, and that's why I do what I do. But here comes one of these general, this pattern I spoke about, wherein people claim to be an expert, people claim to be something, something, and then they do something else behind the doors. You know, you see this, you are seeing this pattern wherein somebody is trusting them, believing them, and then something else is happening behind the doors. We spoke about human trafficking thing. A lot of shit happens like this behind the doors wherein we normalize it. We don't want to speak about it because it's like you are trying to put somebody down. No, we are not here to put anybody down, but it's a fact, it happens for real. And we don't realize that that's why it becomes more vulnerable and more horrific or terrible space for a lot of survivors, whether it's a human trafficking survivor or a trauma survivor or multi abuse survivor. they don't come up. They don't trust people. They don't want to speak about it because if they're gonna come out of it, people won't get it. And if they think that, they are right because that's what they have been forced to experience
Absolutely.
over
Yeah.
the years. So yeah.
It's shocking, isn't it? When you look at the case studies, when you look at how people experience it in different countries, as you said, generational trauma includes. I was just listening and kind of going into deep thought process when you are talking. You see, like I zoomed in. I can reflect back on some of the people I worked with and I'm working with. And friends and family members. Like distant family members, how. How this thing changes their life and then they become one of the abuser. um yeah, so I just went into deep thought when you were talking about it. So it's understanding, isn't it, Mihar? It's understanding the pattern, understanding it, like what the generational trauma is and why they behaving same way with somebody else, because they have it happened to them, so therefore they think is okay. And that's where things come from. Those people who abuse, they think is okay, actually is not okay to abuse somebody. And only you can change you can make the shift, because without you making the shift, you're going to be going in and giving, passing to your next generation, your children. They will passing to their children. So it's passing on from one to another. I mean, typical example may I give? I know we both Asians, so I always use a typical example how mother-in-law abuse their daughter-in-law. And the sister-in-law, how they abuse their sister-in-law, is like, because they've been through it. They think is okay, and that's how the daughter-in-law should be treated. Actually, what people don't realize, if I change, my son will not do that, my daughter will not get that. So, but people don't want, not willing to change, and that's where most of the problem come from, because people are not willing to change. Willingness is so important. Yeah. So, Meher, give us another live example of kind of like what is generational trauma look like.
Yep, I will. So I highlighted a lot of it about
Yeah.
power, status, spiritual abuse. Okay. The reason I highlighted all of it because these are more evident issues. If you see around our world, uh I'm not just going to speak about Palestine or Gaza or anyone in particular. I'm just going to speak about a lot of it in general because a lot of it is genuinely happening in general as well. Okay. So it's like if you have money, we will respect you. We will give you this and we'll give you that, and you are eligible not to get abused. You're eligible not to get traumatized, blah blah blah. So s- your status, money, power defines to be respected or not to be respected. Not just socially, but spiritually as well. I have heard for me as well that okay, you decided to be a Muslim by your choice. Now people will only accept you if you become like Malala, or if you become like this person, if you have a lot of money, if you have this, you have that. Only then we are gonna take you. We are gonna accept you. Else we will keep doing our all the abuses, all the traumatizing things, everything possible to force you to be who we want you to be. And that's how a lot of trauma happens. That's how a lot of human trafficking survivors or slavery survivors don't come up and speak up. They don't come up and speak up because they are being forced in an environment saying that because you don't have this, or maybe you don't have that, or maybe you don't come from a certain background or whatever be it, you need to listen to us. You need to be there. You need to do this. You need to do that. And that's where exploitation becomes so evident. Like within my family, a lot of people try to do it with me. I'm gonna start one of these examples within myself. Yes, it happened within my family. for the same reason that they didn't like the fact that I changed my faith or I'm doing things. And this isn't a story about Meher. Honestly, as I said, I have heard so many stories. Every culture, every ethnicity, I work with people globally and I hear them. And I've heard similar stories everywhere that if you don't fall into that bracket, you are not part of us. We will not hear you. We will not listen to you. We will not support you. We will not help you. We will not be there for you. All these are so common generational patterns.
Wow.
So
It's a
common.
lot. Yeah, yeah. I was just like, when you talk, it takes me back to all the things that went into life around me and people around me. It's just like so much. So Meher, how, I not to next one, we're going to talk about the solution, how people get
Yes.
help and what people need to do. But we're going to touch on that a bit more on the, okay, before we touch on that, give me one more example of, so we talked about family, generational trauma family, but last week we talked about one example where employer using employee on for generational trauma, really.
Yeah.
Um,
Today we spoke about social and little
Yeah,
bit of
being
family, but
something different,
I
Ed. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Being something different perspective, please. Yeah.
yeah. So today, honestly, today we didn't bring family also, to be honest. I didn't bring family in general because we have already done family wounds and trauma wounds and we have already covered that.
Mm-hmm.
But today, as I covered two of the main topics, if you see it, social issues, which are generational patterns and which are being normalized. Second, not just social issues, social plus religious issues, including little bit of our ethnic issues. A lot of ethnicity has, if you be obedient to me, I'll follow you, I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you. That's what I meant. And a lot of ethnicity has, as I spoke about, we all have something in every culture. It's not Indian or subcontinent or whatever. The third part I'm going to highlight as a case study, which is extremely common when it comes to generational trauma and pattern, and we negate it. We actually negate it, even though we are aware about it. Is the fact that you need to be okay with everything is happening around the world because you have no power to control it.
Absolutely.
You have no power to do anything about it. You need to take the shit, because if you're gonna go against anyone, okay, forget about going against anyone. Even if you're going to go against the fact that you need help, you want to get over your trigger, you want to do something about yourself, you will be proclaimed as some kind of not just judgment, but there'll be a lot of chaos and complications around it. And that is something majorly found in a lot of survivors, which holds them back to come outside and seek help, to come outside and trust, to come outside and out of their trauma and torture and everything, and to speak about it. Because see, you got this, right? We all know it's not okay. But still, we are making it okay by saying that you have no power to get over it, you have no power to control it, you can do nothing about it, so you need to live through it because you have no option. You can't
Absolutely.
do nothing about it. And that's where the whole idea of this generational trauma, if you see, is being controlled over the years in different ways. So it's not just the game of power socially or physically or mentally I spoke about. It is beyond that. It's like you are literally controlling, manipulating someone mentally and emotionally, not just physically, mentally and emotionally, to an extent that they have no choice but to become your slave. They have no choice but to get themselves exploited. They have no choice but to be part of something they don't want to be and be there forever. And that's what something I have noticed in a lot of trauma survivors and multi abuse survivors, that they struggle with, because of not just normalization. They know it's not okay, it's not normal, and they should do something about it. But also because if they are going to go out and speak about it, whom they should go to, who will understand that, who will get that. As I said, a lot of people don't know what is CPTSD. I have heard a lot. I see this very common. A lot of people get confused between PTSD and CPTSD, and they are not aware about what is multi abuse might look like, how it may come back to our body and brain and soul, which probably obviously we are going to speak about in our next session. But it's lack of awareness, yes, but it is also lack of acceptance. It is also lack of acknowledgement that this is happening. It is also about making it look okay and normal, so that we may keep exploiting people, we may keep putting people into slavery, we may keep people into human trafficking, gender bias abuses, porn, even in porn, a lot of people are sexual abuse survivors. They are being forced to do a lot of it. So we will keep on doing a lot of it, every single way, every other way, so that we look good, we don't look bad, and we are being accepted, because we are actually living in a world of social media wherein we need acceptance. We are here to get accepted, we are here to get all of that. But honestly, I feel the idea to social media the idea to use social media should have been more it should have been about bringing authenticity. It should have been about bringing what is true. It should have been about speaking about which genuinely benefits people, not just to show off that we know it and you don't know it, and you are sitting here and you're doing a lot of it, and you're actually misusing someone's information and life, and threatening them and putting them into more vulnerable state. And the reason I'm speaking about, because the social, you know that, right? That new series have come up, adolescence. uh
Oh, you watching
yeah,
that?
there is
Oh
a new
my God.
series,
Yeah, I
adolescence.
train on that. I train young
Yeah,
people on that.
on Netflix.
It just yeah, they I think
Yes.
they're gone for
So that
they
has also,
yeah, I think
yeah,
they've
that
won
has
the
also
award.
highlighted a lot of social media. Yeah, social media, abuses and traumas, and a lot of it, which probably now gradually people are talking about, but not many people are talking about.
Yeah, it's so common on social media. Social media, people find the lifeline for a business, but some people find lifeline. I mean, I use social media just for my business. That's what I see. But people use social media for their personal lifeline. Some people, I see people talking about social media. Oh man, I can go on for it. People
Yeah, but
they come for dinner to somebody else's house. They're going through their phone. I just look. I say, what's going on? You were eating dinner. You came to somebody's house. Respect your time. Respect their time. You don't need to be on the phone 24/7. Use it when you need it. You don't need social media for 24/7. And social media influence and abuse, that's a whole lot of bigger subject, you know.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But
So
I
just
just wanted to highlight that, because see, it might look like social media is a present problem, but if you see, it's not a present problem. It's a generational pattern to get accepted by people, to get all of that from people through media, because our traumas aren't healed because we didn't get the acceptance we should have. We didn't get that support and love from people what we needed. So
Absolutely,
so you
absolutely. And we
literally,
say that, you know, mothers to children, father to children, mother-in-law to daughter-in-law, like, so we've seen that because they didn't get the support, they've been treated that way, they carry on doing the same treatment to their loved one because they think it's a norm, or they think, oh, let's do it because I've been done that. But there are also people who actually shift, they change. They say, okay, I've been troubled by that, I've been treated like that, I'm going to shift, I'm going to do totally different, I'm going to be fair, I'm not going to treat my child or my daughter-in-law like that. So I've seen, like, as I said, we both Asian here, and we both come from families where, people treat people differently because once they are married to another home, but also happen to other culture, other community. But I've also seen young mother-in-law here, some of the Asian, their attitude just totally changed, and I praise them. I say, look, that's the relationship you should have. Your daughter-in-law is like your daughter. She came to your house from her living her everything. She should be treated like better than your daughter because they come and live. And same goes to the men who portray their behavior to their spouse because they think, like, it's okay. Actually, it's not okay. And same with the women who actually treat their husband, or that there are certain people who also don't like their in-laws. So I think is we can change, we can shift things. We don't have to behave the way we've been behaved by certain people, whether family, friends, society, mentor, whoever. We can change, and that's what we're all about. It's, yes, generational trauma pass on, but it's actually recognizing, making positive changes so that we don't become one of them. We don't get abused like them, to stop it.
yeah,
Yeah. So Meher, we're gonna kind of summarize and finish off for time being. So
yeah.
if you just summarize a bit and then we put your final message to everyone. And next week we're gonna come back with more solution focused. So what we should do to stop it, and what we should to raise more awareness. That's what we're gonna focus on next one.
Yeah. So I think I try my best to highlight as many issues as much I can in a simplest way so that people can relate with their normal personal, social, and professional life. And all of these generational patterns I spoke about, it doesn't impact only, to summarize, if I have to put it in a simplest way, it doesn't only impact your personal or social life. It actually impacts your whole life, specifically professional life. We assume that only if I'm at a high level, I don't have generational trauma. I have seen heck of people who are at very high level. They earn really well and they are really killing it as per people. And they have hell lot of generational trauma. They have hell lot of generational patterns. They don't know how to handle their emotions and feelings. They literally put people down. They really uh do things which is not just toxic, it narcissist abuse. It's like I'm gonna control you. Simple. I'm gonna control you. You are my slave, and you need to be that because you have no option. Mind it. So all of this isn't coming only from power and money. It also happens when you don't have any of these and you feel that you have no power and you have no option but to suffer it, but to just let it go, but to just let it happen over you. Okay. And and a lot of people misinterpret all of this by saying, oh, I'm standing up for my rights now. I'm fighting with people. I am telling people what is right and wrong. No, I don't think so. Just by standing up for your rights and you know telling people what they need to do and what they should have done, doesn't make any sense. It won't help you. It won't resolve these patterns, and it will only help you for that time being, maybe, but it is not going to help you. So again, this entire pattern or concept, if you see, it's coming from generation. Oh, somebody did something bad to me, I'm going to stand against them, I'm going to fight with the world and change the world and do this and do that. I think these are so commonly seen patterns, but we have been just negating it because we assume that it's normal and that's how the world runs, without realizing that you're not just passing on only to yourself, but actually passing on to your kids. And if you have kids, it's already passed on, and the only option you have as a parent or as an individual, whether you're married, you're not married, you have kids, no kids, is to work on yourself. I think the whole series we are doing, it's not just related to men or women. It's we need healing as a community. We need healing as whole. We need healing as world. That's how I see the world. That's how I have understood that we cannot live in this whole life, you know, this whole world called life, until we work together as a community, until we
Ah,
heal together as a community. And
fantastic summary. Fantastic summary, Meher. That just brought me into my mind definitely. Whether as an individual person, community, world community, society, definitely we need to work together for our mental well-being, for our emotional well-being, for our physical well-being. Yes, world and society need to be healed. Absolutely, and you met, you tap on or all this wars going on in the country, all these egoistic people in the world, power, greed, and everything, killing people, and people mindset. So you've been abused doesn't mean you have to be an abuser. You somebody else's power doesn't mean you have to have the power. Be a human. Let's work together, love each other, and heal the world. That's the only way we can pass into better things to our next generation.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, Meher, thank you very much for your time today. So we go, everyone, we got another episode coming next week where we'll be looking at more solution focus. So if this is the part on how we all can take responsibility to help each other, to help the community, to help the society, and to help the whole world which is suffering. The world is suffering. People are suffering in different countries, in different form. It's not just the one part because of war going on. People, people suffering from all over the world, different part of the world, all over. So it's about taking responsibility to support each other. So please subscribe to our video, because when you subscribe you get a lot on the next one. Like and share, because you never know, by sharing you could be helping somebody else who really need the support. So Meher, thank you very much for me for today.
Thank
And
you so much, Carol. It was amazing. Like I don't know. Hopefully, this all these videos help, and I would love to hear from all our listeners whatever they need to share, so that yeah, we may help and support more and more people here.
look, yeah, there are comments and likes under your video. When you have time, go onto YouTube, check some of the comments and like. I get a lot when somebody like your comment or follow me on YouTube. So there are some comments. So have a look in there.
Yeah, I
So
will.
everyone, bye for now. We'll see you next week.